What's up guys, Damian Keyes here. So at Christmas I visited 3 of the biggest music hubs in the world, which was Memphis, New Orleans and Austin. The big reason for going to these 3 cities was the music, the history, the heritage. We're talking Stax, we're talking blues, we're talking country, we're talking a love for music and an amazing music scene. And that's what I wanted to see. But I was a little bit disappointed with the standard of musicianship in all 3 cities. Sure, there were some great musicians, but the general standard wasn't as high as I was expecting. There was far too many small mistakes. People who haven't really learned songs well enough, bad song choices, just general bad musicianship or lacks in musicianship across the board. And then whilst I was watching these bands, I delved into their social media to see what was happening. And again, nothing to write home about. So today we are going to look at 10 ways that you can improve your next show. So I want to talk about things that I didn't see whilst I was away, but also things that I don't see regularly from bands that I go and watch. I want to talk about 10 things that can really improve the audience's experience and your show in general, not just live, but also with the social media and looking after your audience. Tip number 1, the Instagram carousel story of the day. Now, whilst this is about the gig and how you can improve the gig, this is also about improving the experience for the audience. And I think this is an Instagram hack that you guys should be doing. I think you should be doing a carousel story, but on the feed of your Instagram. And let me tell you why. Because every time you're doing a swipe through a carousel on a feed, you're adding to the engagement. So as well as likes and comments, you're now adding extra engagement points from people scrolling through your pictures. But on top of that, people will see that first picture and then 24 hours later, Instagram will repost the second picture from your carousel. So you are getting effectively more bang for your buck. So whilst I do see bands doing this, I do think bands could be doing this a lot better by actually documenting a story and a theme rather than just random pics that go onto an Instagram feed in the form of a carousel. So let me demonstrate an example of this with my new Instagram, but more importantly, my new band, The Damos. So The Damos is a brand spanking new band. As you can see, our Instagram is pretty low on content. But last night we did a killer gig at a Brighton venue called the Concord 2, my personal favorite of gigs in Brighton. So I did a little carousel story for the feed. As you can see, picture number 1 is us loading up the van. There's myself and my mate Damo loading up the van with all our gear. A pretty sick van, even if I do say so myself. So we loaded the van. What happens next? Well, after that, we got a picture of the venue. So this is the venue that we're playing. This is the Concord 2, the prestigious Concord 2 in Brighton. So now we're starting to delve a bit more into the story. What happened next? Well, we're on stage because we're doing our sound check. We're getting everything ready. And as you can see, Damo, and of course Damo of the Damos are taking a picture on stage. I think Damo's getting a little bit porky, but you can see that we're now into the story where we're doing our sound check. Then after that, we had a bit of chill time as usual. Backstage, we got up to some pretty crazy shenanigans backstage, but it's okay because I've censored it. As you can see, I've also got my dog there, Damo. But we're chilling backstage and we thought we'd bring everyone into our life. And then after that, it was time to meet some of the fans. So we went and took some pictures, and as you can see, we're all very excited to meet this lovely lady who came down, and big thanks to her for coming down to the show to support us. And, I think Damo took a bit of a liking to her, so that was cool. Then after that, it was time for the gig. And I have to say, we got on stage and we tore it up. We absolutely kicked it. And I tell you what, you should have seen Damo on the drums. He absolutely smashed it. I had a pretty good gig, but the night belonged to Damo. Kudos, brother, kudos. And then after that, just before the end of the show, we thought, why don't we all get together and take a picture of us with the crowd in the background? And the crowd loved it because they were involved in the pic. And as you can see, the Concord got much bigger somehow with a lot of people who crammed in. And so did the band, who grew a couple of extra members at that point. So now there's 6 Damos in the Damo, but We're growing fast, and if you're a demo wanting to be in the demos, then hit me up in the comments below. So as you can see, there's a story and a theme to the carousel rather than just a bunch of pictures that I just threw into a library on my Instagram feed. Tip number 2, and this is my personal pet peeve of going to watch bands live. I'm there, I'm watching a brand new band, and you don't tell me the name of your band, which leads me to have to go into Google and start searching for the venue so I can find the day, so I can find who you are. Most people are not going to do that. And on the odd occasion where people do tell you who they are, usually you miss it. So you need to be telling the band name at least 3 times in your gig, at least it, because you have to think, there's a good chance that someone could be at the bar or in the toilet or talking to a mate, or someone could be talking, or there could be another noise, the guitarist could make a noise and I just miss it. Or in some cases, they say it with an accent and I just think, what was that? I didn't quite catch that. And all of a sudden, the moment has passed. People are lazy, they'll watch it, and unless you tell them exactly what to do, they won't do it. So you need to spell it out. What is your band name? It should be on the bass drum, it should be on your marketing, it should be on a banner, it should be on the merch table, and the singer or the front man should be saying it at least 3 or 4 times in a half-hour show. Tip number 3, the meet and greet. This is a huge opportunity when you play live to spend some time with the audience. You don't have to have that rock and roll stance where you're the rock star and you're mysteriously backstage. You can actually start meeting some of the audience unless you think that you need some kind of security to keep you away from everyone so you don't get mobbed by screaming fans. On the whole, why not meet some of the people, take some pictures, because one of the things they will do is appreciate the gig more, and on top of that, they'll probably start taking pictures and sharing it on their own social media. Don't forget, you are giving people social currency. You are giving people a reason to share what they are doing on their social media to help you spread the word of your band. And I hate it when bands just stay backstage and then they play the gig and then off they go backstage and then they start congratulating themselves for 10 minutes. And by the time they do come to the front of the stage to go and thank people for coming, most people have already gone. And I just think, what an absolute wasted opportunity, considering you are there from sound check at 3, 4, 5 o'clock all the way through till 12 or 1 in the morning. Tip number 4, collecting the legacy points. Now, I've talked about this before, but you have the opportunity to do something absolutely colossal for one person on that gig. But when you do that, you are not just doing something crazy for that one person, but the entire audience are watching it. And because of that, people's social media will be involved. So what can you do to create legacy amongst one person? So there's some great artists out there who do this on the regular. Someone like Keith Urban, for example, who always gives a guitar away on every show, and he signs it and gives it to something. Now, I'm not expecting you to give a guitar away on your show, but you could bring someone up on stage to sing a song with you. You could get someone's phone and get them to go on Facebook Live and bring them on stage and bring them as part of the show, and then get them to Facebook Live it, because everyone's going to start bringing their phones out and videoing them, and all of a sudden you are creating minor virality amongst not only the people in the audience because they're seeing something different, but also people outside it who are now involved as well. Tip number 5, something I don't think you do, which is to film your entire gig. Not just for socials, although why not post it on your socials, but also to watch it back. How many times have you seen footage of yourself live and just thought, wow, that tempo isn't quite right, or that doesn't sound as tight as I want it to be, or we don't look like we move around as much? Well, why not actually visually watch what you've just done so that you can critique it and make the next band live? And if it's incredible and perfect and you're super happy with it, then why not post it on your socials? The easiest way to do this is sticking your phone somewhere or sticking a GoPro. Just getting a small little stand like this makes a huge difference for probably a tenner. But what you can do is you can visually watch your whole show, and then you can watch it back as a band making notes. You do that 10 times in a row, and I guarantee the 10th gig will be so much better than the first gig. After all, you might find some stuff that you weren't expecting. Like, for example, how many times have you walked off stage thinking, we smashed that, we were all over the place, Bands say that to me all the time. Oh, I went on stage, we just go crazy. And I think you do go crazy for about a minute, but then you've got another 20 minutes where you kind of stand around a bit out of breath, looking like you don't really know what you're doing. So how do you know what you're doing unless you visually see it? Tip number 6, involve your crowd in your socials. Apart from being a great part of the show, why not ask people to get their phones out and do something on their socials at that moment? It could be as simple as saying, get your phone out, take a picture of tonight and post it on your Instagram by tagging us, and we will share them and repost them on our stories as soon as we're off stage with a thank you message. All of a sudden, everyone's got something to do, but also everyone is jumping onto your socials and everyone is spreading the word, but they're doing it in a fun way. It's a great way of bringing up the social media conversation that you need to have live. Yes, we're all over social media. You hear that from bands all the time. You can go and find us on all the social media. No. Get your phone out, bring up Instagram, go on the demos, and I want you to hit follow and post a picture of tonight and tag us in it. The crowd know what they're supposed to do, and you'll be surprised how many people will do that because you asked. Tip number 7, and you've heard me say this before, why not start with your strongest song? Why not try it? Because I see time and time again, bands do that traditional thing where they wait right until the end of the night and then they put their big hit right at the end. Yes, it leaves the audience with something to remember you by, but what it means is you're trying to pull the gig upwards at all times. We'll do something decent, then it's got to get better and better and better and better and build and build and build. You're making it hard for yourself. Why not put that strong song right at the beginning and tear people's faces off? Because what will happen is everyone will go, oh my God, did you just see that? Anyone who's coming in late, oh my God, you should have just seen what happened. That was amazing. You missed a big bit. They won't miss the beginning of your next show. Instead of this, come with us on this journey, because people will make decisions about your band super quickly. You'll have this yourself. You'll be at a gig, you'll be watching other bands and you'll be going, yeah, they're okay. Yeah, they're really good. And by the end, you're like, yeah, it was really, really good. So why not give them that first impression? Why not do something right at the beginning that makes everyone go, wow, this is good, because they're going to keep that opinion right the way through the night. Tip number 8, to plan your call of action. And what I mean by this is, what is the purpose for your gig? You are going to do a gig this week, next week. You guys will be gigging with your bands over the next couple of weeks. What is the purpose for that gig? What do you want the audience to do on that gig? Do you want them to go to Spotify and listen to the tracks on Spotify or save them on Spotify? Do you want them to go to your YouTube and subscribe to YouTube? What's the thing that you are trying to do? Because once you know that, everyone in the band knows what they should be pushing before, on stage, and after. Can you do me a favor? I just need you to do this. Because that's when you can start putting targets in place and everyone's fighting for the same thing. If you don't do that, then what happens is you can just say, yeah, you can find us on social media, or there's so many things that they could do that they end up doing nothing at all. Come and listen to us, come and watch us, go and see our new video. Can you also go and subscribe to our YouTube account? Oh, if you can do me a favor and follow our Instagram. All of a sudden, people are like, I didn't really know what to do, so I did nothing at all. So what is the purpose of your gig? And if you're sitting there thinking right now, I don't know, that is a question I want you to think about, and I want you to write down in the comments below. What is the purpose that you want the audience to do from your next gig? Tip number 9, and this one's a big one, the thank yous. The thank you to the venue, but also the thank you to the sound engineers. Now, I'm going to say something here. Sound engineers, probably some of them will be watching this, but they probably will still agree with me. Sound engineers as a species are slightly weird individuals. You have to be a little bit weird to want to be a sound engineer because of the weirdness of the job, of staying up late, of watching a bunch of bands. You have to have a certain passion for it, but at the same point, things piss you off really, really quickly when you're a sound engineer. And so why not look after that sound engineer like they've never been looked after? Why not at the beginning just say, you tell us what you need us to do and we'll do it? Because there's nothing worse whilst everyone's making noise and the guitarist is too ridiculously loud on stage, and you can see the frustration in the sound engineer's face, and they want to sound check for far too long, and they've brought all of their own backline and half the stuff doesn't work, and The sound engineer's like, oh, can I just have a break? I've been doing this for 10 years of my life. Why not, at the end of it, go up to the sound engineer and just say, I just wanted to say thank you so much. Maybe pay them a compliment and just say, I just want you to know, we do this all the time, but you are such a dream to work with. It makes such a difference, and no one does it. Like, sound engineers, if you're watching, put in the comments below how shit you get treated by bands. No thank yous, no please, just expectations. And it isn't good enough, because if you look after the sound engineers, they will look after you. And please and thank you goes so far in this industry. And number 10, this is at the end of the gig, and something I saw whilst I was in Austin. All of the bands do that thing where they're going on stage, they're going off stage, bands are changing over, and I noticed that there was just a guitar in the corner from one of the bands who brought a couple of guitars, and they were shipping everything out, and they started to walk off, and someone walked over and went, oh, don't forget your guitar, and he was like, oh, I forgot my guitar. The idiot check is standard practice. It's routine. It's got its own name. The idiot check, you get everything out, and then you go, have we done an idiot check? And someone says, I'll go and do another idiot check and see if there's any idiots, because it's so easy to leave something behind. That camera that you're going to film yourself with, a guitar, your box of tricks, your strings, just things that you just go, oh God, that would have been awkward if I'd left that there. But for most bands, they travel all over the country. You can't travel 300 miles and go, oh, I need to go back 300 miles and go and get the thing that I left. So always, 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 always do an idiot check. So how many of those things do you do? I am on a mission to improve bands and their live shows, because I just feel like the standard is not as good as it could be. We can do better. We can improve the standard of musicianship just by taking certain aspects seriously. But that doesn't just go about on stage. It goes to the audience and their experience. It goes through to social media. It goes through to how and why people are going to come and see you at your next gig. It all starts off with the very beginning, when you're leaving to go to your gig, and how you set yourself up. So I want to know your thoughts and also your improvements. What do you think that bands could do as a one-off on their gig to improve their next gig? Anything you want, I want you to leave it in the comments below. But if you can do me a massive favor, this channel is growing, and I'm so proud of watching what you guys are achieving. So if you can like, more importantly, subscribe and be a part of this community, leave a comment below. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.